Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to have a bit of a discussion today. We are once again revisiting Zenless Zone Zero version 2.5 because we've gotten close to the full information, if not the full information already, on how monetization in that update is going to go. And let's be entirely real here. I think a lot of players are going to felt baited and switched after hearing about the specifics behind ZZZ 2.5's literal thank you gifts. Because that's what this spending event is called. They decided to title a spending event where the developers are getting money from you as a thank you gift to the players. And some of the rewards for this spending event that they decided to reveal up front as opposed to actually showing the details of it because they knew that players would hate the fucking details. Some of the rewards are a bunch of power crept units and a bunch of power crept W engines. But don't worry, there's still some new modern stuff that's going to spice up the deal for every type of player available. So why don't we go ahead and actually take a look at the specifics of how this spending event, as well as monetization in ZZZ 2.5, let's see how it's going to go. So first things first, ZZZ has been very dishonest with how the details of this event have been presented. Instead of just putting it into one link, or a set of images that's really easy to follow for players, they instead decided to divide out this spending event in two ways. One is with the link to the Hoyo Twitter post, and then the other is like a separate Twitter post that looks like this, and then it's just a set of images. If you don't look at both of these articles, the website on the Hoyoverse website, like this link to the Hoyoverse website over here, if you don't look at this, and you also don't look at this, you got no fucking clue how this event works. So not only is it that this event is one of the most ridiculously designed spending events in the history of the game, to get the information on it is also incredibly fucking hard. What the fuck even is this? So let's go ahead, let's take the essential pieces of information you'll need to know to actually figure out how this fucking works and just put it all together. So this is how the event actually works. It's going to start after version 2.5 and go until the end of version 2.5. And during this event, buying things in the game, not pulling, not using free-to-play currency, but buying things that cost real money is going to give you specific amounts of commemorative ticket stubs. And accumulating... Okay, well... Don't you just love how this is what happens when you zoom in on the ZZZ website? Let's see if we can use the Hoyo Lab one instead. Accumulating specific amounts of commemorative ticket stubs will unlock the corresponding rewards. So yes, you need to buy a bunch of shit, build up the ticket stubs, and then once you have a certain number of stubs, you'll then be able to receive, and when you look at this document over here, you'll actually be able to see what the rewards are down here. Moving forward, during the event, the maximum number of commemorative ticket stubs you can obtain is 15k. When you see how much that is, this is about a total of around $250. Around $225 to $250 in spending to reach that total amount. And this is how we know. They tell you straight up how many ticket stubs you're going to get for how many monochromes you decide to buy. Just so you know, this is the $1 pack. This is $5. 10, 20, 50, 100. So this is the $100 pack, and it gives you 6.48k of the commemorative ticket stubs. To max out this event, you would need about 2 of these and 1 of these. That's where the $250 is coming from, because this is the $50 pack. You need 2 200s, 150 to actually max this out. And this is my favorite part about this event. A big part about ZZZ 2.5, right, is that it, in a lot of ways, feels similar to a relaunch, right? If you're one of those players that happen to have their first time top-up bonus still, it won't actually apply to this event. Yeah, so if you're somebody that still had their 100x and you buy it, then you'll still need to spend 150 more on top of that top-up bonus applying to your account. Even in this situation, the devs have been like, no, we need you to give us the whole thing. We're desperate. We can't give you a discount. We need the whole thing. We need the whole thing. Okay? No fucking... We're not Wuthering Waves over here. We don't have any bundles. We need the whole dollar amount. Desperately. That's why when you look at the viewership of this game, let me tell you how much they need money. You wanna know why they need money? Because they're paying for sponsors like this. Because they know nobody's playing this fucking game on Twitch, so they're sponsoring people for like to play the game for literally like 2 hours. Like, you just look at this, right? It's been like this for the past 3 weeks. They need the money because they're spending it paying all these people to pretend they play this game. Because God knows, they know that nobody isn't. So that's the first glaring issue with this spending event. However, it's not, I would say it's not the terrible worst thing. The fact that, I guess, buying the new Era New City Fund also contributes. So at least it's all not just the top up. At least they decided to like throw the players a bone and allow these to apply to it as well. Because a lot of players will just regularly buy this. You'll also get it from the Dawn Seeker's ticket. I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh, wait, I do. I do know what the Dawn Seeker's ticket is. Wait, let me go find it over here. Sorry. There's a lot of posts in ZZZ about their new shop items and shit like that. It's taken a long time to actually see, right? What is all the stuff that's going to be in this update? And you want to know one other thing they did while they're getting ready for this version update? They keep spamming this. When have you ever seen the ask to pre-register for a regular version update? Take a note of this, right? 6 hours ago. As we just scroll down the Twitter page, take a note to see how fucking often you see that again. It's just fucking everywhere. I've never seen them ask to pre-register for a version this much. But anyways, I did actually find the link over here. New stock in the store. Maybe it's this shit. Maybe this is what they're talking about for the Dawn Seeker's ticket. I just want to make sure. Okay, so this one is going to give you 240 monochromes, 760 polychromes, but then only count for 200. So this one gives you 1,000 resources, but only counts for 240. So this package gives you 760 polychromes, 240 monos, but it only counts for 240 stubs. Even the stuff that's bundled counts, but then it only counts for like the discounted price in this top-up event. So you get 1,000, but then it only counts for 240. Are you guys beginning to see what the issue is over here? How is a spending event this complicated? How did they manage to put, like, a monkey's paw, like, FOMO on the spending event? I don't even know what this is. How did they manage to make it, like, confusing for the player to spend money on the game? Because if everything over here is directly translating the amount of resources into stubs, and then you have something over here that gives 1,000, and then it only counts for 240. What the fuck? What even is this? Everything else is a 1-to-1 ratio. But then this one is 240. Bet it's intentional to mislead people. You know what? I bet it is. Do you want to know why? Because Hoyo's got a lot of experience with spending events lately. They just had one in ZZZ 2.3 to 2.4. Then they're doubling up on another one in ZZZ 2.5. They already had one for Vivian's skin. They probably learned a lot from this one. Then they also had the 3.2 spending event in Honkai Star Rail. I bet they learned from this one as well. Then they had the Archer Lycone spending event 2 in HSR 3.4 just 2 updates later. So they probably had additional learnings from that one. And then I think the final product that we're seeing in ZZZ 2.5, it's because they've gotten the experience from, of course, Honkai Star Rail 3.7 spending event 2. Yeah, that was a lot of experience in the past, like, 6 months. 5 spending events in 6 months. And you want to know what the best part is? HSR had 3 spending events in 4 updates. And then the update right after the 3rd spending event is this one. The worst update in the history of the game. They literally just farm 3 spending events off you, and then right after the 3rd one, deliver you the worst update in the history of the game. That is what Hoyo does after consecutive spending events. They drop HSR 3.8. There's not even a reason for this patch to be bad. 4.0 has the excuse of being bad, right? Because it's the whole, like, Japan shit. Guys, 3.8 is Penacony. What was the excuse for this patch sucking dick? What was the excuse for this patch sucking ass while also being delayed? I can understand it being extended, right? To make room for 3.0. Why does this patch suck? You have a lot of money. You have a lot of money. You clearly made a lot of money from all this shit. Why does this patch suck? And it begs the question, right? How confident are these developers in ZZZ's future to go from one spending event right into another? And after seeing what HSR has had happen to it after consecutive spending events, I'm gonna be real, guys. I'm scared for ZZZ 2.6. Because as far as we know, Hoyo loves doing this thing called letting their foot off the gas pedal. Because y'all remember ZZZ 1.5 onwards? Yeah, a lot of players came back for 1.4, then quit again after 1.5. I remember that one. Oh, wait, we've got the official statistics over here to show you that. Yeah, that's literally what happened. That's ZZZ 1.4. That's the patch right after. Yeah, because they let their foot off the gas pedal after bringing everybody back. What do you think they're going to do in ZZZ 2.6? Anyways, that's enough talking about the other games. We need to go back to the specifics of this event, guys, because it actually does get meaningfully worse. So we just found out that this is basically just a complete fucking misleading scam over here. Pretty in line with everything that we can expect from Hoyoverse. They're also going to have other ways to get those tickets. 300 from the Internet membership. And then you're also going to have obtaining from cash bot gifts, as you can see over here, a bunch of ticket stubs as well from buying the packages in the shop. So what you're going to notice is that I think they're taking a very similar approach. You will get the points for buying the packages in the shop, but you only get the discounted amounts because this gift over here gives you way more than $1 worth of stuff, but you're only going to get $1 in ticket stubs because that's a discounted price. They are counting discounted bundles into here, but you only get a fraction of what the ticket stubs should actually be for the value of that package. You're literally getting nickel and dimed on this spending event that's supposed to be a thank you. They're thanking you so much, and they're thanking you so hard that they can't let the discounted bundles be worth their full value in the spending event. You're getting nickel and dimed on the bundle pricing and how it contributes to the fucking total. This is pathetic. How are you this stingy on your second spending event in 2 patches? You're this stingy. This is the second one in a row. And this is the 5th one in 6 months across 2 of your games. The 5th spending event in 6 months. And you're this fucking stingy with how the points are gotten from it. That's crazy, man. I'm gonna be real. That's crazy. Now let's keep reading. Gifts purchased with monochromes will not be counted. Had to make sure that if you had some previous expenditures, if you had already topped up, gotta make sure that that one doesn't count either. So if you had leftover monochromes and then you bought the packages with the leftover ones in this patch, they won't count. They need to make sure that you spent the money this patch. Hoyo needs to make sure they got the money this patch. This is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. How are there people? And this is what I gotta say. It's so funny, bro. It's so funny how every single time, all I have to do is express the smallest amount of criticism for this game, and then the community will do my job for me. Because you will just continually paint yourselves as the most toxic positive clowns in the space, repeatedly downvoting me, saying that all I'm doing is trying to hate on the game. And then you're watching these devs proceed to fuck over and destroy everything they ever do when it comes to this game. I'm out here eating 50+% dislike ratios for telling you that whatever Hoyo puts in, they're gonna make it fucking bad, right? I keep taking these dislike ratios to tell you that, hey, it looks like it's going to be good. Hoyo's promising a lot. Hoyo's promising the world over here. But remember the last time they did that? Remember the last time they did that? They just lie. and then you go back to them, you realize they lied, because everyone went back in 2.0, that's 2.1, that's 2.2, that's 2.3. They see that Hoyo lied and then leave the game again. You want to know how I know there's proof over here? Because me eating all those downvotes, right? You want to know another time I've eaten downvotes? It was on the ZZZ 2.0 live stream, when I proceeded to say, hey guys, just because they're giving you this standard 5-star doesn't mean that this patch is going to be good. This is like a 75% dislike ratio. Guess what happened? It's one of the worst fucking patches, and the worst run in the history of the game was after 2.0. These guys, this community, it has no pattern recognition. You wanna know what I said in these videos while tanking all these dislikes? I said that this was the 5th spending event by Hoyoverse across their 2 games in 6 months. I repeated that statement numerous times. I said that no matter what these devs do, the fact that they decided to disguise a fucking spending event as a thank you just shows how retardedly tone deaf the marketing team and the dev team for this game are. Because how do you call a spending event where players give you money and then you proceed to, like, have this many restrictions on what type of money they can give you? It has to be money that they spent this patch, not money that they spent last patch. How is this a thank you? This is a fuck you. And when you've seen how Hoyoverse handles their games after incredibly predatory monetary events, when you've seen how Hoyoverse abandons the game after 3 spending events, they just drained every player's bank account, then said, all right, see you in 8 weeks, bitch. Enjoy the Dahlia patch. You've seen how they're treating other games that they're shamelessly monetizing with these spending events. And now you're out here thinking that ZZZ is suddenly going to get, like, way better treatment when it makes way less money than this fucking game? Do you know how much HSR makes in comparison to ZZZ? It makes so much more, and they're treating it like this. What type of treatment do you expect for Zenless Zone Zero moving forward when they're treating HSR like this? You think you're gonna get better treatment? No, this is Hoyo doing another rug pull like they did in 2.0. And the stingy ass design of an event like this? Gifts purchased with monochromes will not be counted for commemorative ticket stubs. Huh? What? Remember, this is the thank you event. Have you ever seen a thank you with this many strings attached? Now, we gotta get into the rewards, guys. We gotta get into the rewards. The best part. And you want to know what is just so awesome about this page design? Doesn't this just look like shit? Look at how this page is fucking formatted. This is a $1 billion company, by the way. Oh, wait. That's because there's a better way to look at the fucking information. It's just in a separate goddamn Twitter post. So, here we fucking go. Now we can actually see what the fucking rewards are. Just, hey, how hard is it to put it in? I don't. Anyways, so what you're going to notice over here is that I think the ZZZ team is, like, actually out of budget because it looks like this is half fucking completed. They decided to only put the labels on for 2 of these things and then left all of the other ones blank. I'm not entirely, like, maybe this is supposed to be like a scavenger hunt where, like, oh, you looked at this first, but you don't know what these look like, so you look at this, but then you look at this, and then you can't see what the name is, so you go back to this? What the fuck is wrong with these guys? How does this even happen? This is a $1 billion company, by the way. Hey, guys, they're totally not losing budget. Yeah, this game is totally having the same Q&A process that it had in 1.0. It's got the same Q&A team, the same editors, the same supervisors. Yeah, they haven't lost budget anywhere, guys. That's why shit like this is happening on the biggest patch in the history of the game. But hey, Hoyo's making fucking Varsapura. Are y'all excited for Varsapura? Anyways, let's get into what these rewards are. So, first one's going to be Ether batteries. Neat. Everyone can use those. Then you're going to have the disk drive calibrator shit where you can choose the main stat. Cool. Everyone can use those. Then you're going to have some stupid ass cosmetics that I don't think anyone cares about. I think they're earrings. Yeah, I think they're earrings. I don't know. I don't think anyone cares. And then at 4,000, you're going to have one of the actual meaningful rewards. And so at 4,000 is where you're going to get the, I don't know where the fuck it is. Wait, it'll show up in here. Here we go. Yeah, so they're adding in like some new feature to like, you can use resonating cores to basically manipulate your substats and make it easier to get good disk drives. I don't remember the exact specifics of it, but the idea is that this is going to be a new feature that allows people to a greater potential min-max their pieces. But you're noticing this tool to min-max builds, it's going to be monetized. Because the first time that we're seeing it over here, looky here, it's from the spending event. So for 4,000, you actually get 2 of them. Yeah, this is mislabeled over here. It's only showing 1. You get 2. And you want to know something about these resonating cores that you're using to help out with your substats? You're time gated on these and pay gated, because you want to know how you're acquiring them. You got 1 from the paid battle pass, and then you got another from the super paid battle pass. So that's a +2 from the monetization over here. But don't worry, you'll get another +2 if you engage with the spending event and give Hoyo some dollars. Didn't Wuwa do that with the main stat selectors? Yeah, guys, because these are super similar to Wuwa's modifiers, where you get 100 of them in 2 patches. Yeah, you get 100 modifiers in Wuwa in 2 patches. You get 4 here if you pay like $50. So yeah, you'll get 4 of them if you pay like actually like $50, if not more. And you want to know what system this looks exactly like, guys? And you want to know what I said was going to happen when it came to the monetization of these? HSR at one point, right? We were like, oh, great. The devs are listening. We'll be able to like optimize our builds and stuff. Woohoo! I'm going to be able to have perfect substats on all my characters. Y'all remember when HSR added these in version 3.0? What I directly said after seeing this shit in the ZZZ livestream was, gosh, I hope this doesn't turn into another HSR, where HSR made it so that the main way to get these was via monetization. Because you either crafted it, right, by putting in a bunch of relics, which you could get from paying. You could just get +15 relics from paying and then decompose them into these. Or you just buy them from the store. And then I said, what happened after that was that HSR basically allowed its players to buy perfect builds. And when you're in a whale game made for whale players like HSR and soon to be ZZZ, when you can buy power, what happens to the endgame? And I'll show you guys the exact same fucking thing that I showed you guys when I originally recorded that massively downvoted video. The Memory of Chaos HP totals in Honkai Star Rail. And you want to know where it started? That was version 3.0, when they introduced the artifact, the rerollers, whatever, substat selectors, all that shit. 15 million. Now, in the present, that's where it is, boys. That was 3.0 over here. That's the present. And so, what happens after you allow players to buy perfect builds? Oh, suddenly, the build expectation in the endgame is a lot higher, and so they increase the HP, because everyone's now doing more damage. And you're assuming now, because you can buy power and buy perfect builds, well, just make your endgame only playable if you're whaling. That's the HSR method. Yeah, you play the endgame in HSR if you're big whaling and you pulled every unit and you got great builds on them. Because that's what they decided. That's how they're going to balance the game. And when you see that Zenless Zone Zero is literally doing, I don't know, the same fucking thing where, hey, your artifact rerollers are now on spending events, and on top of being in fucking spending events, guys, they're also in the BP. You want to know where else HSR's rerollers were? You want to check out Cherished Recollection? Check this out. What do you see in Cherished Recollection over here? That spending event in 3.2. What do you see in there? Do those look like the, don't those look like the same exact rerollers that were, introduced in 3.0? Don't those look like the same exact rerollers that they introduced in 3.0 and then proceeded to ruin the balance of the game right after that? And now you're seeing the same exact thing happen in Zenless Zone Zero with this, and then with this down here. Crazy how simply being correct about how these developers are going to monetize the new features and systems that they're announcing based off of previous times when they've done literally the exact same fucking thing is enough to get you mass downvoted by a retarded community of children. Because you want to know what I said? I said this was going to be implemented in the exact same way as HSR. And so we shouldn't be surprised if the game's endgame ends up in the exact same state as HSR's. Because as far as I'm concerned, the implementation of these and the implementation of these, they're exactly the fucking same. Almost exactly the same as it was in the previous game. But hey, pattern recognition is a difficult thing for this player base to recognize. I guess we'll leave this discussion over here. Let's just end it with I guess he did actually tell us this was going to happen. Now let's move on. Let's see some of the more details. Now, at 7,000 commemorative ticket stubs, you're going to get a W Engine microcontroller unit, right? And this is where, when you have this, you'll gain the ability to claim one of these useless things. I know there's like at least one or two useful ones in here, but the fact of the matter is half of them or 2/3 of them can be gotten from like the actual rebate store in game since the start of the launch, and the other 3 are for characters that, if you're getting Ching Yi in 2026, you're probably a dipshit. Same with her, because you should just get Alice, and then same with her, because you should just get Vivian. Literally, I've already told you the replacements for all of these units. It's literally any other stunner, but Dial is probably your best pick. Then you, again, Alice, and then Vivian, and they're just better than all 3 of these units. These guys are just trash. So that's essentially it. You move on from that, no more big deal. And then at 10,000, you get the character. So at 7,000 is the W Engine, and at 10,000, you get the character. And that's why you can see that these are the new symbols for it. They look kind of fucking weird to me, but that's where the 175 comes from, ladies and gentlemen. Because most people aren't expecting you to actually fully fill out this event. Because the last couple of rewards that you do actually have are just like some wacky ass menu decorations and shit that most people probably aren't actually going to want. And so, to actually cap out this ticket total, claim all these rewards, it's $175. You gotta spend basically $175. And I'm gonna be honest. Why? Why is it that expensive? And second, why is it called a thank you gift? Why is it called a thank you gift? When you have to give, them a raw 175. The optics of having another spending event like this right after having one, and then knowing that you've had 3 basically in a row in your other game, I'm gonna be honest. Hoyoverse is legitimately ruining the gacha space. Because now, I can comfortably say I can't even blame any other developer for putting in spending events in their games in the future too. Because you want to know why? How can they not consider it when these fuckers at Hoyoverse have literally spammed 5 in the past 6 months? They are setting such an awful, terrible standard in the space that is literally making every game actively worse, even if they're not doing anything. Because you want to know what this does? This builds pressure on every other dev to start putting shit like this, spending events like that, pay-to-win mechanics like this into all of their games too. Because even the biggest creator in the space is bending and doing that to get a shortcut instead of actually making a good fucking game. Guess what HSR and ZZZ wouldn't need if they were just better games? They wouldn't need spending events because people would just pay money on them without feeling pressure to buy FOMO, pay to win, and other mechanics. They would just spend money on the game because they like it. A spending event is a sign that you can't get players to spend on the game because they like it. You gotta pressure them by threatening, basically, to take things away from them unless they do spend. That's the major issue with spending events, is that it's the biggest fucking FOMO you can imagine. Unless you give us hundreds of dollars, we will take away permanent rewards that you can never get again. Unless you give us literally hundreds of dollars, We will take away these rewards and you will never be able to get them again. 5 times they've done this. 5 times they've done this in the span of 6 months. They are the biggest threat to the gacha space at the moment. And to see so many players so blindly support in the most toxic, positive manner I've ever seen the business practices of this company, actively knowing that they're threatening to make every single game in the space way worse. Because this is the future that I think is probably going to happen, that I don't wish is going to happen, but I can't even blame Kuro if it does. I wouldn't be surprised now if we end up getting a spending event in Wuwa. Because after you've seen Hoyo spam 5 of them in a row in 6 months, what can you expect? The market leader in the space just spammed 5 of them in a row. The market leader in the gacha space just spammed 5 spending events in a row. Can you even blame any other gacha dev for doing it too? You can't. Because then they're just following market trends. Hoyo's trying to make shit like this the new normal. Don't make good games. Make dog shit pay-to-win cash grabs that makes players feel like they're losing a lot if they don't spend. That is what Hoyo is trying to turn the gacha space into by spamming so many of these fucking events. And you know what? I think they're gonna do it. Because you'll have CCs like me that will call that shit out day 0. And this is the response that you're gonna get. I'll call it out day 0. Let you know exactly what's going to be wrong and why it's bad. And you'll eat a 50% dislike ratio for telling the truth. That's this community. It's insane. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.